What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Bitcoin. And we have sound in this video. We didn't have sound in the last one. That one, that one was just a demo. Hit the like button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this, you guys, and let's get into it. I actually made a couple more videos, and they didn't have sound. So, unfortunately for me, I made that mistake for the first time in a week, but it's gonna happen, man. Oh my goodness. It's not the mic. I figured it out. It really is not the mic. It is OBS. OBS just for some reason has this thing where it resets itself every now and then, and I need like a sticky pad, a note or something. But enough about me. Let's talk about you, okay? Bitcoin, $88,000 right now. I'm not impressed, right? That's kind of essentially the message of the last video that I made. Or you wouldn't see it because or you wouldn't hear it because it was muted. But I did say in yesterday's video that if we were to move higher, I couldn't see us getting above 89K, 89,000. In fact, I thought we'd go just below there because if we take this relative high to low here, that is at the top end of this golden ratio zone, right there at the top end of the white zone. We are finding a lot of resistance, or I shouldn't say a lot of resistance. We are finding resistance here. At least it seems to be that way. A lot of volume is what I meant to say. We had a lot of volume. And it's like you're breaking out above this high, you're getting volume coming in, you should be taking off, but you're not. Why is that? Well, it's probably because you're not ready to go higher, you're probably ready to go lower. If we look at the 4-hour time frame here on the RSI, and let's just assume that we close around here because we only have like 20 minutes left in this 4-hour time frame, 22 minutes left in this 4-hour time frame. You know, we normally do top off right around this area in the 4 hours. Sometimes we do persist higher. There is the possibility that we could go higher, you guys, and if we do, $91,000 is a possible target area that we could go to. I remain bearish, not until we get to 91K, but until we close above 91K. If we can close 2 days in a row above 91,000, though, I admit if it was just one day, I'd probably be shaking in my little bear boots here. If we were to close above $91,000, that would invalidate the notion that we're going lower. But 2 days in a row specifically. Until then, I remain bearish. I'm not impressed by this. And I know that there are some people who are bored. You're just expressing you're bored, and maybe you're very excitable, because from Bitcoin's recent low here to this recent high, we've moved up less than 7%. It's not a big deal. That's not impressive. That's nothing to be impressed with. And if you are impressed, you need to check your emotions, man. Your emotional capacity is a little bit flawed right now because you're thinking that something like this is going to lead us to go higher. But the reality is we have a lot of volume here and we didn't really go anywhere. We're right in the heart of this area to find resistance. The reason why I said in yesterday's video that I didn't think we'd go above 89K, that if we moved up, we would not go above 89,000. The reason why I was confident in that is because that's the top end of this golden ratio zone, and I'm expecting that we go lower. So a double top in the golden ratio zone, or 2 points of resistance without getting through it like this, that likely does signal that we're going lower. So if I'm expecting we're going lower, this is the kind of expected move that we would have, or maybe some kind of double top, something around this area nonetheless, right? If we do go higher, if we go up to the 786, you guys, this looks like a really productive fib. So far, it does. Getting to the 382, finding support at the 236, going up to the 0.5, support again, but at a higher low, rejecting the 618, finding support at the 382. If you go up like this, it really sets you up, you guys, to continue to go higher, right? These stair steps to the upside, they normally continue, but it's all revolvent around the golden ratio. And if we don't persist past this in a very short amount of time, if you do come back down to the 0.5, there's still a chance that you could find support there. You could still be productive to some degree. But if you come back down to the 382, it's over. You've broken out of your trend. You've broken out of your upward sloping trend here. You've broken out of it at that point, and you are likely going lower. So beforehand, where the target areas to break were $90,800 if you want to go to the upside. Technically, I like to say 91K because it just rolls off the tongue better. Close above. If you can close above $90,800, you can close above 91,000, right? Close above there on a daily basis. There's also a lot of other reasons for significance there. We can go over that in a second. But before, that was the bullish wall to break through in order to go higher, and the bearish wall was 80,500. Now that you've progressed in this way with the fibs, the next area, or the bearish breakthrough wall, has moved up, right? The bullish one hasn't moved up because you haven't done anything significant on this part, but because you found a low here at the 382, in order to keep this fib productive, in order to make it seem as though it's productive, you have to continue to find support above the 382. You technically don't even want to see a double bottom. If you come down to $83,200, if you close below there on any given day, it's over. You're going down to the downside, and I do expect that we're going down. I expect the price area we're going to is somewhere around $74,000 to $69,000. The anticipated area in this area to me is about 72K, somewhere around there, right? Just below 72K, just above 72K, something like that is what I would anticipate. But who knows? We could go all the way down to 64K, you guys, and Bitcoin is still fine even if we do that. So don't panic. It's all going to be fine. But if I'm wrong, again, what it's going to take for me to be impressed is not a 7% move from its relative low. It's not a rejection, a double rejection in the golden ratio, which, to be fair, we don't have confirmed yet, but I'm anticipating that it will be that way. It would be to get above $91,000. 4-hour RSI in an area where it likes to top off. It could go higher, in all fairness, it could, but in an area nonetheless that likes to top off. This kind of volume coming in without any real progress. I mean, you're up 0.5%. I don't know, man. I don't know about that. You know, even here on this small candle here, you're up a whole percent, which is still not that significant, but that was at least double what you got now. And the volume was, to be fair, it was a little bit more. It was a little bit more in all fairness. I don't really know. Is there a comparable level of volume here? Maybe this one here. This one here had a lot of volume, and that was 2.3%. You know what I mean? And even that, you still didn't continue up. So I'm just not impressed, is all I'm trying to say. 1 hour time frame. You do have bearish divergence here, but I don't know if it is. This is the one thing that's making me think you could maybe even go a little bit higher. But if you were, I would, let's be real, I would be surprised if you went above 89K. But if you get above 89K and that surprises me, that doesn't mean that we are ready to go higher yet. We still have to close above 91K. And even then, there is still hope, although I would flip bullish if we close above 91K. There is still hope that if 96.5K holds its resistance, 96K holds its resistance, that we would go down and see lower lows. That still could happen. But if by some chance we do go above 89K, and that would surprise me. I don't think we go above 89K, but if we do, that's not a critical area. That's not something to get excited about, right? But the one thing making me think we could do that is the 1 hour does look pretty damn bullish. You do have bearish divergence, yes, but it's one drive here, so that's a high and a lower high. One drive, two drives, three drives, four drives of bearish divergence. That doesn't happen. It's like 3 drives at the most, and that's a powerful signal. Once you hit the 4th drive, it's no longer bearish divergence. It's like you're finding support up here, and you're actually really strong. It's consistent readings in the 1 hour time frame, but you are getting these consistent readings. You're not really going anywhere as of late, as of like the last like 6 hour candles, but we'll see. If by the end of today we're up a little bit higher, things could look good, you guys. Things could look really good, and I would love it if I'm wrong. I really would love it if I'm wrong. But I don't know. I don't think that I will be. I'm presuming that I'll be right. That's why I'm making my call that we're going lower. We'll see. But who cares about being right? Who cares about being wrong? It's not about that. It's about making money at the end of the day. And if we do go up and I'm wrong, I'll be making money. If we do go down, I won't be making money, but I will be buying down at the lows, and then we'll be making even more money whenever it goes up, right? So it's just about making money. Doesn't matter if it's going up. Doesn't matter if it's going down. Doesn't matter if you're right. Doesn't matter if you're wrong. From a high to a low, the 786 is right there at about 91K. From this low, would it be this low to a high? This low to the high, the 236 is right there at that same level at 91K. What else is right at that same level? This daily high close, which is our most kind of recent significant high in this downward trend, right? There's a lot going on at this 91K level. And then from the overall fib, I know it looks like a bunch of noise, but from the overall fib, from a high to a low here, come on now, buddy. You want to get there. There we go. The 0.5 is also right in that area as well. And not that the 0.5 is that significant, but it can be significant. And Bitcoin's actually shown a lot of significance on its 0.5, right? I went through and I did a little explanation of that. This whole bull cycle, we've actually found a lot of significance on the 0.5 for Bitcoin and a bunch of various other cryptos. So 91K definitely has a lot of significance around it. This area here that we're at right now, it's just another lower high in this series of lower highs, right? I didn't mean to slope it down at the end there, but you can see it's a pretty straight line down. Nothing impressive yet. You need to get above 91K to convince me otherwise. I am anticipating that the rest of this week might be, I don't think that we're just going to move down immediately, right? I have said over the past couple days that it wouldn't surprise me if this week opens up kind of boring. We're opening up kind of exciting, to be fair, but it's not that exciting, right? 2.4% is not that exciting. I don't get out of bed for that, man. BTC futures. CME. I know that there's a gap here, right? I'm sure a lot of you are aware. If you're not aware, let me make you aware. There's a gap here. I don't really weigh heavy on gaps, right? It might get filled, it might not. If you're one of those people who's like, how can you not weigh heavy on gaps? They always get filled. Let me educate you. They don't always get filled, actually. Here's a gap down here, right? The gap, actually, that gap did get filled. Sorry. This gap right here, some people, especially if you're new to it, you might be like, what gap? What are you talking about? There's a gap right there. Can you see it? You can't see it. Let me help you here. You closed the day here. You opened the day here. There's a gap right there, and you didn't fill the gap. You did not fill it, right? The gap's all the way down here, and you didn't fill it. So that's an unfilled gap right there. Same kind of concept here. Here's a gap here. Then you open the next day, right? It doesn't look like a gap on the chart, but if you know what you're doing, if you have a trained eye, then yes, it actually is a gap. It looks exactly like a gap. It's just there's no technical gap in the bars. There's no zone of blackness, but from the closing point here to the opening point there, that's a gap. That is a gap in the chart. And no, we did not fill that. That's at 54K. There's a gap all the way down here, and we didn't fill that one at 50K. There's a gap, right? That one we kind of filled, to be completely fair. There's another gap. Let's see, where are we at? Another gap right there. There's a gap right there. And then even before that gap, there's a gap there at 39K. There's a gap right down here that we did not fill. There are gaps even lower. Look at that gap right there. Gap there, gap there. It's Gap City down here. Does this mean Bitcoin's going to 30K? No, it doesn't mean that, guys, because not all gaps fill on the CME gap, CME chart, right? That's not actually a thing. If you think it's a thing, one of these times you're going to be left behind. And I'm not saying that to help with the bullish case. I do still think we're going down. I'm just saying if you're relying on this gap to tell you some kind of truth here, or that as soon as we go below the gap, that we're done. And by the way, most of the time when you do fill these gaps, you either go like just like you will go through them. Not often. It's not often that you stop right at them, but sometimes you do. If we do go through there, you fill the gap, and now it's time to rip. If you're thinking that, you're going to be misled. If you're thinking just because we have a gap that we have to go down, you might be right this time, but don't stick with that forever, because that's not always the case, actually. There are plenty of gaps in Bitcoin's existence that have never been filled, going back even to the beginning of the last cycle, but I digress. We do have April 2nd coming up, right? People call that Liberation Day. I like to call it Tariff Wednesday. It is the tariff event, where there will be reciprocated tariffs on every single country that has tariffs on the United States. That's nothing to be afraid of. That is just something to embrace. It's reality, you guys. And as an American, you should be happy about that, because it's just going to bring a fair trading floor to your economy, right? Other countries who have tariffs who've been taking advantage of the increased cost of American goods on their behalf, on our behalf, they might not be happy about that, but it's going to be a fair floor, and ultimately it's going to bring. I think it's going to be good for the whole world, not just America. But I think that people are going to negatively anticipate this, and maybe not in the beginning, right? Maybe there's going to be some prices that go higher, but I don't think, I really don't know. I think it's going to be not as big of a deal as people are thinking it's going to be. I really don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. It's a big deal in like the long term. It's a big deal from a fundamental perspective, sure, but as far as like everything's going to go up in cost, where the economy's going to get crashed, I don't think it's going to be a big deal. No, I think it's going to be it's a big news piece right now, media piece right now, and then after it happens, they'll move on to the next thing, whatever it is. I'm assuming that we will probably start to drop either by the end of this week, like going in literally Friday or Saturday, or maybe the very beginning of next week. Maybe Monday, Tuesday are our drop days. I mean, it's pretty common. Let's see, if we're looking at this here, we had the tariffs come out on Tuesday here on the 4th last time, and we dropped the day before and the day of. So that was just 2 days. We moved up, and then we dropped sometime after that. But I don't think we're dropping because of these tariffs. I think we're dropping because of these tariffs. We had this day here, February 3rd, where we dropped as well, and the tariffs didn't even happen, but we dropped 3 days beforehand, not a week beforehand. So if this is here on the 2nd, I would anticipate maybe like the 29th, the 30th, 31st, somewhere in that time frame we start to drop. So it wouldn't surprise me if Bitcoin was a little bit volatile, a little bit at a standstill here. Maybe we just move sideways until this time, and then we start to drop. Maybe we move down, and then we move back up over the next couple days, and then we really start to crash. But I do anticipate that between now and April 2nd, we will see the price. It's, be on red alert, you guys. We are going to see the price at $74K to $69,000. I'm not impressed by this move at all. I don't think anybody should be impressed by this move. If you are impressed at this point, you are, you're bored is what I would say. You're ecstatic over things that are not that significant. If we do get above 91k and that validates your ecstatic emotions, that's fun, that's great this time, but that might not always work out. But if we get above 91k, I'll jump in on that ecstaticness. That will be something significant. Getting above 91k would invalidate every notion that I have that we're going lower. And I wouldn't say every notion. There is that one notion still where we have to close above 96 and a half thousand. If we close above there, really, then you'd be delusional to be bearish. But I think closing above 91k would signal that we are going to these prices and beyond already. That's why I'm hyped on 91k. We'd be back in this consolidation phase that we broke out of. There's just a lot of reasons to be bullish at that area too. So you definitely see a bullish C-Zar flip at 91k. If we go to 91k and we don't close there, we just find resistance there. That is not the same thing as breaking through it, right? So don't get confused on that. Until we close 2 days in a row above $91,000, I'm not convinced that we're doing anything besides going down to about 73,500 to 69,000, maybe even $68,000 or lower. I don't think I have anything else that I want to say. I've said everything that I need to say. I'm sure the first video was better because I'm just trying to remember everything that I said. But the 4-hour time frame, it's not the most bullish. In fact, I mean, it's bullish right now. Don't get me wrong, but it's at an area where you normally find resistance. The 1-hour time frame has me a little bit curious because it almost does. It looks like it wants to be bullish. So again, I wouldn't think you go above 89k, but if you do something outside my expectations, don't be amused. Right, 91k is the area to watch. Just because you get above 89k, that's not a win. Though I wouldn't expect that personally. And the 15-minute RSI also looks good. So if we move up more today, that wouldn't necessarily surprise me. But moving up above 89k would surprise me. If we move up like $20 above 89k, don't be too shocked by that. But inevitably, I think we're probably just going to chill. Maybe for the rest of the day, maybe slowly work our way down. I don't know. I don't expect the coming days to be too exciting, or if they are, they're just going to be volatile. But all in all, we're working our way down. Still bearish. Still thinking that we're going down to that area. I've got nothing else to say. So hit the like button. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Thank you all for being here. I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye bye.